Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and it's time to do what we always do every major content drop. And for the mini set, we're gonna do a tier list of every single card, all 38 cards coming out. So some will try to be a bit brief on, but we're gonna rate them S through F, S being like God tier, auto include, F being unplayable garbage. Well, probably not that bad, but still, we'll rate it F. And we also have our giveaway winners to announce today. Not entirely sure if we hit the next 1,000 subs as of recording this, but I'm gonna assume we did, or if we didn't, whatever. I'm getting these 4 people mini sets. We'll have other giveaways coming up as always, but thank you all so much for your support and all of that. And well, let's dive in. Let's take a look at these mini set cards, and the mini set should launch today around 10 a.m. Pacific. I'll be streaming it over live at twitch.tv/Zeddy, so if you want to come hang out and check out all the new cards, we'll be playing standard, wild, all that good stuff. Come on and hang out. So our first card is Aftershocks, dual class card for Shaman and Warrior. It deals 1 damage to all minion 3 times. It costs 2 less if you cast a spell last turn. A really solid AoE, can deal with some like death rattles for those Treant druids or like dude paladins and all that stuff. And even if it costs 4, not bad at 2 mana. It's incredibly good. I'm gonna give this an A. I just think it's a solid AoE that both Shaman and Warrior will play. Next we have the Burning Heart, a Warrior in Demon Hunter card. It's a 1 mana fire spell. It deals 2 damage to a minion, so friendly or enemy. If it survives, your hero gets +3 attack this turn. So like 5 damage in theory for 1 mana, some of which can go face, can be traded. Pretty good in a ranged list. I think even like a Naga Demon Hunter that wants to play cheap spells to cycle can play this and get some burn. Again, really solid card. I'm gonna be able to B though. I think it's a bit more fringe and not as like usable as some of the other cards, but still, I think we'll see meta play. Chaos Creation is a Warlock and Mage spell. It's 6 mana, Fell spell as well, deals 6 damage, summon a random 6 cost minion, and then you destroy the bottom 6 cards of your deck. So pretty much just a Warlock card. They're the only ones that could really utilize deleting 6 cards to the bottom of your deck. And there's no like tempo aggro mage out there that really wants a 6 mana Fire Lens Portal. I think even in the like this sludge deck, it's way too slow. I'm giving it a C, and it's kind of sucks that, you know, it's basically just a Warlock card unless Mage finds a way of actually utilizing those synergies. Next, we have a new location, the first ever dual class location, Crimson Expanse, 4 mana, 2 durability. It's for Warrior and Demon Hunter. So you choose a damaged minion, you then summon a copy of it that goes dormant for 1 turn. I feel like the dormant part really kind of kills the card really slow. Demon Hunter doesn't have a lot of great self-damaging effects, so it's really for Warrior. But I've learned every location, almost every location in Hearthstone history has at least seen meta play, so I'm gonna give it a B, although I really feel like it's not gonna be that good, but we'll see. I'm waiting for it to prove me wrong. Next we have the Crystal Cluster, a druid spell. It's 6 mana, you gain 3 empty mana crystals, and then any that can't fit, summon a 3/7 elemental taunt. So basically if you've hit your maximum ramp, you play this, you get 3 3/7 taunts for 6 mana. That's not bad. And for 6 mana, you gain 3 empty crystals. So you can go your 4 mana ramp, your Widow Bloom or whatever, into Crystal Cluster, and then you're at 10, right? You go from 6 to 9. The next turn, you'll be at 10 into your Titan and all that. Pretty much every ramp card almost ever has seen play. There's a couple early ones in the old days that didn't, but like Pilfered Power, I think, and Grove Tender. But overall, I'm gonna say it sees play. It kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's just not that good. I feel like it's too slow and the taunts aren't that phenomenal, but I'm probably wrong on it, so I'm gonna give it an A. I don't know, it's ramp, it's a lot of it, and you also have upside if you're at full crystals, so maybe, just maybe, it is that good. So I'm gonna rate it highly, even though, like, I'm not sure about it. We have the first legendary on our list, Deep Miner Brand, 6 mana, 2/4, Warrior legendary. Battle Cry, if your deck has no duplicates, your Battle Cries trigger twice for the rest of the game. So really expensive, 6 mana, 2/4, pretty brutal, but similar to Odin, you play this, you're probably gonna win the game. Obviously, Astalor, absolutely insane with it, but like a Tidal Revenant, all of a sudden is deal 10, gain 16 armor. If you got Odin going, that's even more damage, and School Teachers, just any Battle Cry minions, whether neutral, Warrior cards, it's really solid. It's just, is it too slow and inconsistent when it is purely for that Highlander strategy? I don't think so. I'm going to give it an A. I don't think it's S tier, but you know, it's going to be one of those cards that's either going to be like super busted or just not good enough. And I feel like it's not going to be in between. Next, we have Digging Straight Down, the 4-mana nature spell for Shaman. Deal 8 damage to a minion, you excavate a treasure. Pretty solid removal. Excavate's typically really good, but the Shaman reward in general, I think it's kind of bad. Like transforming minions, you're gonna get that early scam of like, okay, this minion in my hand's a bit cheaper, I could play it, scam the one on my deck, maybe a high roll, a top deck, it's pretty good, but you're gonna change a bunch of cards that you wanted to use or had plans of using, whether it's your Excavate reward, or I just feel like Excavate and Shaman is not going to be consistent enough, and I don't think this card is warranted without playing Excavate, so I'm going to give it a C. I think that Shaman Excavate reward is just not great, but maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe that casino element will be good enough, but I am not sold. We have the Elemental Companion. You summon a random Elemental Companion, 3-mana spell for Mage and Hunter. You get these elementals. Well, one makes your spells cost 1 less, spell damage +2, one can't be targeted. It's got the same stats and names, of course, of like Huffer, Misha, and Leok. I don't know what you're doing with this. It feels very situational and you can't really plan for a lot of it. The stats are okay, but again, I'm gonna give it a C. I don't see this popping up in meta lists until something makes sense of it all. We have the Elementium Geode, a 2-mana 2/1 elemental for Warlock. Battlecrying Death Rattle, draw a card. Also, you deal 2 damage to your hero, so it deals 4. You draw 2 cards for 2 mana. There's implications of like self-damaging being really good, particular wild, but we're not focused on wild here. Regardless, I think it's an S tier card. 2 mana, draw 2. You get a body on the board, possible self-damaging synergies. It's Cobalt Librarian 2.0. It's not as good as Cobalt Librarian, which is one of the best Hearthstone cards of all time. So that's not a big deal. I just think it's going to be a staple in standard and probably wild. Fell Fisher is a 4-mana fell spell for Demon Hunter. Deal 2 damage to all minions at the start of your next turn. Deal 2 more damage to all minions. Really slow, really bad, very expensive. I think at 3, this card probably wouldn't see play. I'm giving an F. I think it's just unplayable. We have the Fool's Gold, a 1-mana rogue spell. You get a random golden pirate, an elemental from other classes. Really not many pirates. You're gonna get a good pirate from Warrior almost all the time. It's gonna be pretty solid. And elemental will be kind of a toss-up, whatever. There's a lot of class elementals, but Rogue's got so much broken stuff going on, so much value going on. This is purely a fun burgle card, but I do not think he'll be competitive. We have the Fossilized Kaleidosaur, a 4-mana 3/4 undead beast for Paladin. Battlecry, gain 2 random bonus effects. Excavated Treasure, really solid minion. The bonus effects, there's 8 of them, whether it's Divine Shield, Rush, Taunt, Lifesteal, you know the deal. All the ones are like 1 Amalgam Band, the Microbots. This is a super solid Excavate card. The Paladin Excavate reward, unlike Shaman, I think is incredibly strong. It's so many stats and it's consistent, right? It just buffs the crap out of your good stuff. And this is a really good minion just to play on curve. I'm giving it an A. I think Excavate Paladin is going to be really strong. The Gloomstone Guardian, a 4-mana 6/8 elemental for Druid and Warlock. It has Taunt, choose 1. You either discard 2 cards or destroy one of your mana crystals, or if you forge this, you do neither. It's just a 4-mana 6/8 taunt. So that's really good. It's a ton of stats. It's got Taunt. The upside of discarding can be very strong in Warlock. This seems like a Warlock card to me in pretty much entirely, but it's a decent one, especially with those discard synergies and a giant body. I'll give it a B. I think it sees play at some point. We have the Glowstone Gyreworm, a 4-mana 4/4 elemental for Priest. It has Lifesteal. It has Quick Draw, deal 5 damage, or if you forged it, it's no longer Quick Draw, it's Battle Cry. Really good arena card. I don't think you're playing this on ladder. I mean, you get 5 damage with Lifesteal, that's not bad, and the minion itself is Lifesteal, so it might heal you more, but just too situational and just not like, I don't think it's worth Priest time. I just don't, so I'm gonna give it a C. I just don't think it'll make the cut. Hidden Gem, is it a hidden gem? We'll find out. 2-mana 2/2 elemental. It has stealth. At the end of your turn, restore 2 health to all friendly characters. This is a Priest and Rogue card. I think Priest for sure will run this in like overheal. It's just infinite healing if they have no AoE, no way of dealing with this, right? It's just gonna constantly heal everything for 2. and Rogue is usually lacking on healing, although they discover healing all the time. I'll give it a B. I think it's more of a priest card, but you never know. It really could pop up in Rogue. We have the Iridescent Gyreworm, the only epic of the mini set, a 3-mana neutral 4/3 elemental. It is Death Rattle. Give each of your minions a random bonus effect. Really slow. If you have Battle Cry, then we're talking, but unfortunately, this has to be on the board, it has to die, and you need other minions on the board, and bonus effects are pretty hit and miss. I'll give it a C. It'll pop up here and there, but I don't think it will be a meta player. We have the Mantle Shaper, a 5-mana 5/5 elemental Naga. For Mage and Hunter, this costs 1 less for each spell you've cast while holding this. So if it's in your opener, you have the coin, that's 4 mana right out the gate, and you play another spell, it's 3, 2, 1, right? It comes down really cheap, really fast. It's a lot of stats, and when you're playing an aggressive Hunter or just like, you know, any tempo-ish mage, it's a lot of stats, and I'm not going to scoff at a 0-mana 5/5. I'm actually going to give it an S. I'm probably overrating it, but I don't want to sleep on the corridor creeper thing again, okay? So I'm going to say it's absolutely busted. We have Marut Stonebinder, a 7-mana 5/6 neutral legendary. Battle Cry. If your deck has no duplicates, discover an elemental to summon and add the others to your hand. You cannot get Neptulon, so that high roll's not there, but there's a lot of good elementals, whether it's Ragnaros, some of the ones we'll look at a little bit later, and depending on your class, you can get those class ones. Just a solid value bomb, like something to go for the board as well. Before you get to Reno, I think it'll be a solid Highlander card. It's not the reason you're playing Highlander, but it'll pop up in multiple decks, so I will give it a B. We have Mining Casualties, a 2-mana dual class spell for Demon Hunter, or sorry, Death Knight in Paladin. You summon 2 1/1 Silverhand Recruits with Death Rattle, summon 1/1 Frail Ghoul. So the 2 hero powers for Paladin and Death Knight come together. You get 4/4 in stats. 4 corpses for Demon Hunter, or sorry, I keep saying the wrong class. Death Knight decks. This card's just nuts. So much stats. You get some even like a proactive ability with your Frail Ghouls as well. I'm giving it an S. I see this going into multiple Paladin, multiple Death Knight decks, and it could see play wild. I think it's just a super good card. We have the Mismatch Fossils, a 3-mana spell for Hunter and Death Knight. Discover a beast and an undead. You swap their stats. I guess you could get like in Wild Stone Tusk Boar and like Thaddeus, or you want to hit Thaddeus, right? But this is inconsistent. It's not drawing from your deck, purely random. It's an arena card, and I don't think it has any chance on the ladder. I'm gonna give it an F. We have the Needle Rock Totem, a 2-mana 0/2 totem for Shaman and Warrior. At the end of your turn, gain 2 armor and draw a card. Manatide Totem, Crying in a Corner. This is 2-mana cycle. You're getting armor. Shaman can utilize the totem abilities of it. This goes into multiple decks for Warrior, for Shaman, sees play in Wild. An incredibly good card. I will give it an S as well. I think this goes into a ton of different decks. We have the Obsidian Revenant, a 6-mana 3/6 elemental for Hunter and Death Knight. Death Rattle, summon 2 random Death Rattle minis that cost 3 or less. This has taunts. There's a lot of Death Rattles, but it's very slow. And even with like Death Rattle procs more particular in Hunter, I don't think it makes the cut. But again, not a terrible card by any means. It just, I don't think quite makes that competitive cut. We have the Pendant of Earth, a priest and druid spell. It is a 3-mana nature spell. You discover a minion from your deck and you gain armor equal to its cost. So if you hit 10-mana minion, that's 10 armor. Draw a card. That's incredibly good. You could play this with like the armor card in Druid. It's 8 mana, except you get 8 armor. It's 0 mana right away. So there's some good synergies, but standalone, just you're gonna play this in those like those grindy Druid and Priest decks. It's super good, super solid. I will give it an A. It's gonna see play in both classes for sure. We have the Prosthetic Hand, a 3-mana 3/1 mech for Death Knight and Paladin. It has Magnetic and Reborn, and it can magnetize, I always say that wrong, to mechs or undead. So you can put this on your hero power, and then your hero power will come back as a 1/1. You can give like any undead Reborn, which has some implications. Don't know if this will be super competitive, but I think it'll pop up in lists. I will give it a B. We have the Quartzite Crusher, a 4-mana 3/3 Blood and Frost Rune Death Knight card. It's has lifesteal, and it frees any character damaged by your hero. So you're facing Odin Warrior, just keep hitting them in the face, and then they can't hit you in the face. So that's pretty good. Solid like a rainbow deck. It's just a really good card. 9 damage, healing, freezing. I think it sees play. I don't know where, but I think it sees play. I will give it a B. We have the quick pick, a 2-mana rogue and demon hunter weapon. It's got 1 attack, 2 durability. After your hero attacks, draw a card, 2-mana draw 2, and you can upgrade this. You can buff this in rogue in particular. Really, really good card. It's very like not sexy, but I think this will pop up in multiple rogue and demon hunter lists for sure, possibly in standard wild. I think it's an S. I think it's a really solid card. We have Shadestone Skulker, a 1-mana 1/1 rush minion. Battle Cry, take your weapon and gain its stats, death rattle and give it back. It's an elemental, it's for demon hunter and rogue, and any buffed weapon. This is nuts, right? Like you just borrow the stats, you give the weapon back. It doesn't use durability, it doesn't refresh the weapon or anything like that. You don't have to re-equip it, it just borrows it and gives it back. But I just think, wow, with Kingsbane, this is absolutely broken. But any reasonable weapon, you're happy, and it's just a really solid little tempo card to get through some taunts, kill some stuff. It's dirt cheap. I'm gonna give this an A. I think it's a very solid card. We have Shadow Word Steel, a rogue and priest card that I loathe. 5 mana shadow spell school as well. Return an enemy minion to your hand, so you just take it. Instead of like Sap, where it goes to their hand, you just yoink it. It's only for an enemy minion, so you can't use it on your own. Really expensive, even with prep. I think rogue has way better stuff to do, and the greedy priest lords of the world, they got better stuff to do. You'll probably only see this at like lower ranks where people are just greed lords. I'll give it a C, but I loathe the card. We have Shale Spider, a 2-mana 3/2 elemental neutral card. Battle Cry, if you played an elemental last turn, draw a card. Really solid elemental card. Elemental decks will love it. It's not super crazy or anything, but it fits a good purpose of cycle. It's got the elemental tag itself, and maybe you discover this is something you add to your hand from your legendaries and all that, so not too bad. We have Shattered Reflections, the 5-mana druid and priest spell. You choose a minion, add a copy to your hand, deck, and battlefield. It's Sathravar for 4 less mana without the body, and you can choose whatever minion you want, including the Druid Titan, where you can copy that and refresh your crystals and draw your deck or heal up, and then you have a Titan in your hand, another Titan. It's ridiculous. It is so crazy. I'm not looking forward to Druidstone from this, and yeah, Priest can use it pretty well too, but Druid scares me the most. That absolutely is getting an S from me. We have Shimmer Shot, the 1-mana arcane spell for Hunter. Deal 1 damage, summon a random minion of that cost. It scales really well spell damage, getting a 2, 3, 4 drop, dealing more damage, or if it's not, you just get a deal 1 damage to whatever you want, get a 1 drop. That's always been really good. That's an A. And Arcane Hunter gets a really nice little tool before a lot of that stuff rotates. Shroomscavate is a 3-mana paladin shaman spell. Give a minion Wind Fury and Divide Shield, Excavated Treasure. Again, I'm not super sold on Shaman's Excavate, but Paladins I am, and we all know giving Wind Fury to Paladin can be utterly broken, as we've seen with like Battle Master in the past. This is a super strong card, really scary card. I'm giving it a very high A. We have Sir Finley the Intrepid, a 3-mana 2/3 Murloc for Paladin and Shaman. It's a legendary minion. Battlecry, if you've excavated twice, transform all enemy minions to 1/1 Murlocs. It's a one-sided mass polymorph for 3 mana, and you just have to excavate twice. That's an ass. That is ridiculous. And maybe that's just the reason to play Excavate Shaman, but then you might transform it into something random, but maybe one of the random things turns into this, so you're happy. I don't know. We have Soul Freeze, 1-mana frost spell for Mage and Warlock. Freeze a minion and its neighbors. Deal damage to your hero equal to the number frozen, so you can take 3 damage to yourself. It's like a 1-mana little mini Frost Nova, Kona Cold, whatever you want. It goes to Mage and Warlock, 2 of the classes that love to be toxic at OTK and stall, and yeah, this is a really good tool for that. Pretty ridiculous. I'm giving it an A. I don't think Warrior should have, or Warlock should have access to board freezes. That sounds like a really bad time, but that's what we're getting. We have the Stone Drake, a 6-mana 2/8 elemental dragon. neutral, divine shield, taunt, lifesteal, can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. Really annoying to try and remove this. This is hard to remove. It's a lot of health. It just doesn't have a lot of attack. So maybe a hand buff it and like Paladin, it's really good there. But other than that, I'm gonna give it a C. It's a really good option to hit off those elemental cards though. We have Summoning Ward, a 3-mana secret for a mage. When your turn starts, summon a copy of your highest cost minion. So if you want to get good value off of this, your minion's gonna live. How often do good minions live in Hearthstone? Almost never. And if they have a secret up, there might be like, okay, I gotta kill this. It seems really bad. It might be worse than the Azurite Bane. It is absolutely getting an F from me. We have Therazane, the 7-mana 7/5 elemental legendary neutral one. Taunt, Death Rattle, double the stats of all the elementals in your hand and deck. You could just play Lorthamar, do the same thing with the Battle Cry and the 7/7, hits all minions, but there's also Death Rattle synergies. This is probably going to be more of like, I discovered this off of my like Highlander legendary or my Excavate reward. I don't think this is going to be a super meta card unless you can really abuse it in some way. And I don't see it even with like the Thunder Horse or whatever it's called. You have to run multiple elementals to get good value off of this. So you can't really tutor this, right? Like it just doesn't make all that much sense. And lastly, we have the Druid and Warlock card. Trog Gem Tosser, the 3-mana 3/2 minion finale. Deal 1 damage to a random enemy for each of your mana crystals. You just play this on 3. Turn 3, it's a 3-mana 3/2, deal 3. You finish off your turn when you have 10 or like 11 mana with an amplifier. It's 10 or 11 damage. That's pretty solid. And in Wild, you got Guff, it's 20 damage. I think this card's solid. I think it sees play. It's just like a nice little finisher on the end of a turn and push a bunch of damage. Like it stacks up. So I'm gonna give it a B. I think it pops up into certain lists. So there you go. That's my tier list. Let me know in the comments down below what you agree with, disagree with. You can fill out your own in the template in the description below. And we'll see you later tomorrow with our day 1 patch review of the mini set and all the goodies that come with it. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.